Hi, it's Ian from the Postal Hub podcast,
And Marek from Last Mile Experts.
and we are the Last Mile Prophets. This is the last word on the last mile. This video is created thanks to Modern Expo, one of the key players in the world's parcel locker market. Modern Expo's product portfolio includes innovative solutions with refrigeration and freezing cells, Bluetooth locks, and even personal parcel lockers. Marek, we're going to talk about delivery options, not just delivery options, but also returns options. I want to just show here on the screen. This is something I stole from Matthew Hertz's Twitter account. This is a snapshot that he shared of the returns options offered to Amazon Prime members in the USA. Now, Marek, you can see here what from this little screenshot, which is up on the screen now. You can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options available. Marek, you've seen this as well. What jumped out at you when you first looked at this?
Hello, Ian. Hello, everyone. Well, a few things jumped out. First of all, it was very clear what the recommended or preferred or easiest option is because the wording and everything was designed to show, okay, well, unless you're a wee bit of an idiot, this is the one that you take, which is, of course, the out of home option where you don't need a label, where it's all very, very easy. Let me have a look. What else does it say? No box or label needed. Wow. This is really important because, Ian, at Last Mile Experts, we get a lot of questions from operators of PUDO or locker networks saying, well, okay, how can we change consumer habits? And frankly, this is it. If you think about it, Ian, it's a bit like when we order or buy an airline ticket. If you have a big red box that says this is the cheapest option, or this is the recommended option, or this is the best option for you, I believe that a lot of people just click that straight away, or at least view it more, should we say, positively. What do you think?
Marek, maybe you haven't flown on Ryanair recently. I'm not sure that's exactly how people's thinking works with this. But I did. I can understand your point when you're talking about you have a menu of choices. Ultimately, the same thing is happening, right? If you're flying from A to B. Here, you're returning your product to Amazon. So ultimately, the same thing happens. It's a question of how you want it to happen. Now, you mentioned that there's a sort of an incentive built in there. So if it's a Whole Foods drop off or a Kohl's drop off or a UPS store drop off, which is interesting on the UPS store drop off because there's a UPS drop off point. Maybe somebody in the comments can explain exactly what the difference is there. Straight away, that's confusing for consumers, in my opinion, Marek. But yeah, dropping off with Amazon's aligned retailers. What I thought was interesting, though, if we hear about people wanting to put volume into their parcel locker networks, but to return via an Amazon locker, it costs $5.99. I thought, well, that's interesting. But Mark, let's just look at one other thing that's in there. It says that the pickup option is $7.99. Now, there's a whole lot happening in here. One of the things that's not mentioned in this, though, is sort of what the carbon cost would be. Now, I would say, that should be the next thing. If we need to be informing consumers, not just about what the cost is in terms of dollars in this case, or euros if it's in Europe, etc., but what will also be the carbon cost. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe that's outside the scope of our discussion today. But you mentioned delivery as well. Now, when you order from Amazon, you might get a few delivery options, but I know every now and then you'll see someone share something on LinkedIn, and usually it's Mike Richmond from Doddle who shares something on LinkedIn saying, look, there are hardly any delivery options here. If Amazon's doing this, what should e-commerce retailers be doing, Marek?
Well, I think just to take a step back, it wasn't actually, I think, irrelevant, this issue of the green options. I think it's a really good idea and it's needed. So this idea that perhaps you have, I don't know, 3 trees on the most ecological option or a more green screen or whatever else. But it's a big deal because in an urban area, it can be 2/3 less carbon, not to mention congestion, noise, etc., etc. In a rural area, the carbon footprint can be up to 90% lower. So this is really a very big deal ecologically. And whereas probably 5, 6 years ago it was irrelevant, if you look at what's happening in politics in the US, it's becoming relevant. In Northeast Europe, so the Nordics, it's a big deal. So I think this is going to be important. And coming back to what you said now, frankly, this is relevant whether you're sending, collecting, returning. The idea that people can understand better, A, how ecological something is, B, price determines or helps you understand which option is the right one. So you mentioned the lockers. Probably what Amazon's done, although lockers are great, they're ecological and so on, because they're full, there's no point sending someone to a locker which is already full, because the CX, customer experience, for those who are not initiated, is not going to be great. So they just put a price tag on it. So the zero cost option is the one where they've got capacity, which is ecologically smart, which is operationally smart. And by the way, it's pretty cool because if someone goes to a Whole Foods store, which is the number one, I think, on the list, they might buy something as well.
So one of the things here about this, the Amazon returns as well, is it says no box or label needed, and that's a really powerful thing. It's not discouraging people from returning, which is what possibly a whole other discussion is. How can you discourage people from returning? And e-commerce people will say, well, the way to discourage people from returning is to get the product description right and to make sure people are really ordering what they want and that they're aware of all these things so that we can avoid product ending up in landfill or all of this.
The key thing, Ian, is that so often people and they question, well, how can we influence what I started with at the very beginning? This is a really big deal. We can influence the consumer. Nowhere can we do it as well as at the checkout. Because you can write articles about why it's better to go to a Pudo. We can do a last mile profits video cast, but actually it's at the point of clicking when you see, hey, this option is easy, this option is cheap, this is the only one that comes under a subscription. For those of you who haven't listened to some of our material before, one of the single most important reasons why InPost was so successful in Poland was that the biggest e-commerce site, Allegro, for a long time at the beginning, when they offered a subscription model, only offered it to out-of-home senders, i.e. via parcel lockers or Pudos. So I think there's an awful lot that can be done. Honestly, the responsibility in this area is with the e-tailers. And Amazon clearly is showing that they get it and that they're doing their bit. The question is, all you other e-tailers out there, are you really doing what you ought to do? And it's not just saving a few thousand hectares of rainforest, but it's actually also about being efficient and customer centric. Because one last thing, Ian, first time delivery rates for out of home are way higher than any other form of delivery.
Now, I'll be interested to hear from any of our friends in the USA about what they think Target and Walmart are doing in this space, in particular with regard to what we've seen here with these returns options that Amazon is offering. So what are Target doing? What Target and Walmart doing, I should say. Please let us know in the comments, and whether you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, and keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and the notifications bell. And at the end of this video, you'll see a couple of options on either side to watch another video. Watch another video. Go on. Or what else are you going to watch? Cats playing the piano or whatever it is that people watch these days on YouTube? Anyway, do it. Subscribe. It'll make you feel better. Matt Krzyzewski, thanks for being part of the Last Mile Profits today.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, everybody.